Look at the stars, we see other signs for you, and everything you do, yeah, they were all yellow. Oh, yellow, Brook Scholars! Happy Wednesday! Woohoo! The party continues. Rainbow Week. We got your yellow clothing on, yeah? This is it's a very interesting shade of yellow, this one. It looks more like highlighter yellow or like lime green or electric yellow. You might describe it as being a very loud shirt, meaning that, it's kind of very, very bright, hard to ignore. In fact, it might actually be distracting. Just, yeah. Anyway, yellow. Yellow, a bright, happy, sunshiny color, and it's also the color of cheese. You like cheese? Yes, eat cheese. Well, speaking of food and yellow bananas and yellow cheese and things like that, I'm really, really excited about today's lesson. Now, hopefully, you had a good breakfast or a good lunch and you are ready to tackle this because today we're talking all about food. But it's food within a story. So we're going to have to think very carefully about the characters in this story. Now, we know that we can think about what kind of a character we're dealing with based on three things: what a character says, the dialogue when they're talking to others; what a character does, their actions and what they're doing within the story; and of course, their thoughts, the things they're thinking inside their head. Ow. So that's what we're going to do. We're really going to spend a lot of time with our main character, and he is a boy named Taj. And I don't want to spill the beans about this story, spill the beans, but our food plays an important part. And in particular, it's a particular kind of food, and it's Indian food. Have you had Indian food? Oh, it's delicious. If you were to say to me, Mr. Scott, we're going to put you on a desert island for 1 year and you only get one type of food, what will it be? I would probably have to say Indian food. It's one of my absolute favorites. Indian food is delicious. You've got sag paneer, you've got onion bhajis, you've got vegetable pakora, you've got samosas, lots of papadums. What else? Oh. And of course, tons of naan bread. Have you had naan bread? Oh, it's amazing, people. So, Indian food. But food is such an important thing, isn't it? And I'm not just talking about eating food to get the nutrients that we need, to power our brain, to do the physical things that we want to do. Food is so much more important than that. Especially with a traditional food, that can be a really, really important part of a family's culture. And it's something that you celebrate. So it's really important when you are learning about a different culture, for example, or reading a story in which there's a variety of different food involved, that you need to be very respectful of somebody else's food, because you could actually really hurt their feelings if you were to insult the food that they were eating, even if it's different from yours. So that's something that we're going to keep in the back of our minds. But who is Taj? Who is today's main character? What's he all about? What does he say? What does he think? What does he do? Let's jump in, people. Taj and Berto. The school bus had arrived. Taj's mother handed him a paper bag of warm samosas. This was his favorite food from his home in India. They were crispy bread pockets filled with potatoes, peas, almonds, and golden raisins. The house smelled spicy. It was hard to leave. But Taj kissed his mother goodbye and headed off to school. When Taj arrived at school that morning, a new student named Berto was in class. Mrs. Grant asked, "Who will be Berto's helper?" Taj raised his hand. He wanted a chance to help this new boy just as some other children had helped him. 1 month ago, Taj was the new kid from a faraway country. Berto was from Puerto Rico. He spoke Spanish and English. Taj showed him around the classroom. Mrs. Grant let them go out for a school tour. Berto smiled often, asking many questions on their walk around the school. Taj thought, maybe I have a new friend? Berto was lively. His long legs always seemed ready to run. At recess, Berto joined a soccer game. He fit right in with the athletic group. Sports looked like fun. Taj played, but his mind and his body didn't always work well together. The harder he tried, the worse he played. Before noon, Berto met some other students. Some of them spoke Spanish. Oh well, Taj thought. Berto has found friends who speak the same language as he does. At lunch, Taj sat with some friends. He opened his lunch sack and took out the samosas. Samosas. They weren't warm anymore, but they were still good. Taj bit into a tasty samosa. Taj saw Berto walking toward him. He came and sat right next to Taj. Berto pointed to Taj's lunch. What's that? Oh no, he's going to make fun of my lunch, Taj thought. Then Berto took something from a paper bag. It looked like a samosa. See? I have one too. Mine's an empanada. It is spicy inside. Berto smiled at the other students at the table. He said, Taj is a great guy. He's my first new friend. Taj grinned from ear to ear. Yes. Oh, I love it. I love this story. Why do I love this story? Well, it's the theme of friendship, isn't it? Yes, it's all about respect, being respectful. Well, before we get into that, let's go back and let's retell this story. School day, morning. Taj is at home. And his mom packs him a lunch. He gets on the bus. He goes to school. He arrives at Mrs. Grant's class. We're not really sure what grade it was, but it was old enough that Mrs. Grant thought that one of the students could help the new student to the school, Berto. Berto was from, got it in one, Puerto Rico. Shout out to all of my friends from Puerto Rico. You're the best. And so Mrs. Grant was like, "Hey, we need someone here to be Berto's new friend and show him around the school and show him the classroom, tell him where to go to get different things." And so Taj was really excited. You remember why Taj wanted that special job? Right, right. He had been the new kid himself about a month ago. He'd come from a different country to this school, and someone had been, helping him to learn where everything was, and just kind of help him understand how the school works. So he really wanted that job, and he got that job. There was something that he really, really wanted. It's time to talk about character motivation. What did Taj want? He wanted a new friend. Absolutely right. He wanted a new friend and he wanted to feel helpful and he wanted to do his job that Mrs. Grant had given him. He wanted to be really successful in that job and make sure that Berto knew where to go, knew where things were. Absolutely. So they go off together, and Taj shows him around, and then it's recess time, and Berto fits right in with the athletic group. That means the kids that really like to play sports, and they play soccer. And then he finds some people who also speak Spanish, so that has to make Berto feel really good as well. So Taj notices this. He notices that Berto was speaking the same language as some of the friends, and it's lunchtime. So they go to the cafeteria, and Taj is sitting with his friends, and Berto slowly comes in, and then he comes over, and he sits down next to Taj amongst all of his friends, and he says, "What's that?" And immediately Taj starts to get really, really nervous. He's really, really nervous about this because he doesn't want anyone to insult his food. Because it's not just insulting your food. If you insult someone's food, you insult their culture, you insult their family. It's not a good look. As Miss Captain taught me a number of years ago now, there's a special phrase that you can use if you're worried that someone is going to make fun of the food that you eat. It's called "Don't yuck my yum." Don't say that my yummy food is yucky because it hurts my feelings. Not just that you don't like the food, but I don't need to hear your honest opinion on what you think of my food. Keep it to yourself. Thank you. Don't yuck my yum. Very helpful. Anyway, so then, no, 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 no. Lo and behold, after he sees what it is, Berto goes into his lunch and pulls out an empanada, which is very similar to the Indian food, that the samosa that Taj is also having for lunch. And then Berto goes out of his way and goes, "Hey, everybody, Taj, he's a cracking guy, isn't he? Legend." So yeah, that was really, really nice. And of course, we are left with Taj in the cafeteria, surrounded by friends, having made a new friend, having been a really helpful guy with Berto, and he's smiling and grinning from ear to ear. He's really, really proud of himself and happy with the situation. So that's the solution to this problem of Taj wanting to have a best friend. Now let's think about Taj for a second here. Thoughts, actions, words. Well, what does he say? Well, he must be using his voice to tell Berto about all of these wonderful things and places that you can go in the school. And he's also doing. There was two different thoughts that I thought were really in particular important, friends. It was this one. Before noon, Berto met some other students. Some of them spoke Spanish. Oh well, Taj thought. So thought, thinking, right? Berto has found friends who speak the same language as he does. Oh well. Now, what does that mean? What if you really, really wanted to make a new friend, but suddenly that new friend, who was the new kid in school, was hanging out with other people? I mean, Taj could have been really, really hurt. He could have been really, really upset. He could have been really, really angry. Hey, I'm the guy that's supposed to be in charge of helping Berto. Well, what are you guys doing? Get out of here, you know? But he's not like that. He says, "Oh, that's really cool. That's really cool that Berto has found people who also speak his language." Imagine how much of a relief it would be if you arrive somewhere speaking a different language. Berto did speak some English, but he spoke Spanish, and then you find other people that also speak the same language. That has to feel so good. So there we have Taj thinking, and he's thinking, oh, good, I'm glad that this guy has found some friends who speak the language. Then a little bit later, he gets a little bit nervous. He says, "Oh no, I think Berto's going to make fun of my lunch." Taj thought. There's all of that thinking work going on there. I love when authors do that. They kind of take us inside the mind of the character and they kind of help us to understand how they're feeling in this particular situation. Really cool. So that's what he's thinking there. He's thinking, "Oh no, he's going to make fun of my lunch. This is going to go so horribly." But he doesn't say anything. He doesn't get upset. And he remains a respectful character. Thoughts? I'm glad that Berto has found friends that speak the same language. Dialogue, talking to Berto, making him feel right at home. And then his actions, of course, taking him around and helping him as much as possible. I'm going to say, with all of that work, the thoughts and the dialogue and the actions, I'm going to call Taj a respectful character. I'm going to think of him as a helpful character. Nice, kind, friendly, supportive. I would like to be friends with Taj because also he might invite me over and maybe his mom would cook some homemade Indian food and it would be delicious. If you haven't had Indian food, please try and eat some as soon as possible, especially non bread, because I could live off this stuff. You shouldn't do that, by the way. Anywho, that's about it from me, my friends, the Ultimate Champion, Mr. Scott, on this Wednesday, hump day. I hope you wear your yellow and that it brings a smile to your face and that you are warmed by all the yellowness in the world. Read this article one more time and then answer the questions below, multiple choice and the short answer. Don't forget to do the short answer. When you've done that on paper, snap a picture, upload it to Seesaw. I cannot wait to see your work. All right, my friends, I will see you back here tomorrow on the world's greatest YouTube channel from Mr. Scott.